You have said very clearly that we should not leave Africa to the Chinese. President Juncker has said that we're doing better than the Chinese. Well, what is the reality? What does Europe need to do and to do better? And perhaps to President Kagame, what can Europe offer Africa that China can't offer Africa?
I think it was said time and again about viewing Africa through the African lenses rather than through European or Chinese or American or whichever. I think this forum we have had is very useful in a sense that it raises the conversation to the level where it should be. Where should it be? To begin with, there are reforms that must be carried out in Africa, on our side, but also reforms on the side of those who deal with Africa or who Africa deals with. Meaning, on the other side, it's always going to be useful and productive if Africa is seen as a place of opportunity or where opportunity can be created where it is lacking. Because it has people, it has all kinds of resources that can be brought into a partnership with other continents, with other people, so that there is that win-win situation that is being talked about. So I would have a slight issue with just saying, what does China offer to Africa, or what does Europe offer Africa, or how can one offer more than the other, and so on. This is not the conversation. In my view, under a reformed mindset that we should be having. We should be having a conversation where what does Africa bring to a partnership? Or the partnership that has been there before, and what Europe has been offering Africa, how can it be offered differently so that you get more results, better results than before? I think this is what we are talking about. Europe has been very helpful in supporting Africa in many ways. But the debate that goes on every day in our part of the world is that, in actual fact, we could have had many times more the results of that very input that was made by Europe to Africa if it had been conducted in a certain manner, and that is the conversation we are talking about. If companies are investing, if Europeans see Africans as partners rather than just beneficiaries of their generosity, then that's a good conversation to have. And Africa must have responsibility to its own people. There's no question about it. People of Africa cannot just permanently be looked after by Chinese or by Europeans or by anybody. We must be able to look after ourselves. We must do things that meet the global demands in these partnerships, whether it is on a values basis or any other basis. So this is the conversation I think that this forum has managed to bring to the level where it should be.
Thank you very much.
We've been attending reflects the new forward-looking outlook in the European-Africa relationship, building on the spirit of the last summit in Abidjan. It has been a pleasure for Rwanda to work together with Austria on this initiative as the chairs of our respective regional organizations. The presence of a number of heads of state and government, as well as CEOs, reflects the deep consensus on both continents. We are going to be focusing on the serious long-term issues that bring us closer and make us stronger together. That is reflected in the European Union's new Europe-Africa Alliance for Sustainable Investment and Jobs, launched by President Juncker. On the African side, the reform of the African Union Commission, the signing of the Continental Free Trade Area, and the relaunch of the Peace Fund all those mark a turning point in our continent's ability to relate effectively to our partners. But the real driver of progress is going to be the private sector in both Europe and Africa. That's why most of the participants here are business people and innovators. Migration is just in the passing, I mean, it's a big issue, but it's an issue that can be handled effectively by working together again, whether on either continent or between the continents. This is not a situation that should derail the serious cooperation we have had. And I want to thank very much Chancellor Kurz and Jean-Claude Juncker, President of the European Commission, and I have had the pleasure of working with a very effective African Union Commission chairperson, Moussa Faki. So I think our efforts coming together very well in this form have been very productive, I should say, and thank you again, Chancellor, for hosting us, and thank the hospitality of your people in Austria. And I think we have had a very good conversation, very productive and very meaningful. Thank you.
That is the way it is. So, my fellow Africans, I have no more to talk about that, but I am expecting more from you, my fellow Africans, through comments. Have you ever seen? Now there's a competition, big competition between the Europeans or Europe and the China or Chinese. Everyone wants to take Africa. So, my fellow Africans, according to what Mr. President and the Honorable President Kagame has said about Africa, we must not looking for other civilization to come to help us, but Africa must do for his people, so that according to the demand of the world market and so on. But I'm not sure about that, if many African leaders will do that, but I'm expecting more from African leader to do that. So, of course, it is very, very, very wonderful and very anxious how these people are competing to come to Africa, to take over in Africa. You know, as Mr. President Kagame has declared live that Africa has natural resources, but everyone wanted these natural resources. So how can we protect our natural resources in a win-win situation? That is the main question we must ask ourselves. So all black people and the African people must think the only way is to come to invest in our continent. There's no other way. If they came Chinese, they will take our natural resources and then they will go back to China. If they came European, we have seen it during the colonial time, they came in Africa, they took our natural resources, then they go back to their home continent. So the best way, my fellow Africans, is we Africans to come to invest in our continent, so as we can control our economy. Without that, always we will be crying about the foreigners. and everything will be taken away from Africa because we have no, we don't control our economy. The best way is to control our economy, and how we can control our economy is to invest. We have many people in Africa who have money in Africa, who have technology in Africa, but what the other civilization do, if you have you have something great in Africa, some people take you out of Africa. If you have a good technology, they will come and take you, then you will go to work in America or in Europe or in Asia for high payment. But we don't think why they pay you a higher amount, because they know you are like you are a resource. They use your knowledge and your capability and your great things, so as they can benefit from you, and we as African will remain with nothing. So let us wait for your comments, and I'm very waiting your comments about this, why European has come to challenge China in Africa. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, also share. Please share my video to other people, or other especially all Africans. Thank you for watching.